Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I am really excited because I'm going to be interviewing Avery Burk. And for those of you who don't know her, you are in for a treat. So it's really exciting. I'm going to be sharing it with you. I've actually not had a full discussion beforehand. So a lot of the stuff you and I are going to be learning at the very same time. If you haven't done so already, please hit that like button. And if you want more content like this, hit that subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. As promised, I have Miss Avery Burk here. Hey.
Hi, everybody.
I love it. I'm so excited that you are willing to do this because I have to tell you guys, you have no idea. We might have chemistry, like we go way back, but I literally was a random chick in the audience during a live performance, and I was like, hey girl, love your energy. We connected, and then like fast forward, I'm asking her to be on this video. So it's really insane. She's totally open. I love her energy, and you guys are going to see why. But believe it or not, this is literally the first time we're having this conversation. It's actually the first time we even Zoomed. I think we've had like, yeah, we had like a quick exchange, you know, in a super loud venue, a few DMs, and like that's it. So I love this.
So you're seeing it first here, guys.
All right, so I want to get the backstory because, you know, I know there might be like two people maybe who don't know who you are. So for those two people, I want to give your backstory. I'm just teasing. But even for the people who are here because they YouTube searched your name and, you know, they want to get to know more about you, I want to really just give them the story of who you are. So fast forward, you know, you're doing your thing, you're on social media, you're getting traction, you're recording, but let's talk about the beforehand. So what is your true Hollywood story, so to speak? And you can go back as far as you want. I just want to kind of paint this picture because we see this, but we want to see the before too.
So my story pretty much starts when I was about 7 years old. I picked up a guitar because my dad was always in bands. He was a worship leader. My mom was always on stage. I think whenever my mom was pregnant with either me or my sister, she was on stage singing. So it's been in my blood forever. And then I picked up a guitar and I just never put it down. I became obsessed with it. It like, you know, when you know what your passion is, like that spark. I got that when I was 7. And so after that, years passed. I actually was on a worship team as well. I used to like lead worship a lot, and it's kind of how I got my bearings on stage a little bit. That's kind of how I got comfortable. So I started doing that, and I always wrote songs and like poems at such a young age, just because it was my outlet. It was a way for me to get out how I was feeling. And I also started dealing with anxiety around the same time at like 7. So that's when I first started going to therapy for it, because my brain thought things that were too big for my young mind to comprehend, if that makes sense.
Yes, so, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I would freak out about like things that there's no point in me trying to figure out. Like I'm never going to figure it out, but I like needed to, you know what I mean? Because you're little and you're like, why? So yeah, fast forward from that, my music career kind of began in high school when I released my first single, I believe, like on SoundCloud. So I released my first original song on SoundCloud. And then I got like written up in like the yearbook and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, people liked me, but then also like when you do music, people don't like you too. So like I've been called a show off. I've been like, people made fun of me and stuff like that. But
if you're not polarizing though, you're not worth talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like if everyone's just kind of like, you got to have a strong opinion. If you elicit strong opinions, you're really doing something, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, if you're doing good, people don't like it sometimes. So that's kind of, and it comes back later on in life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, I started making like my own music, working with some producers and stuff like that. And then the year after high school, I released my first EP called Everything. And so that was like the first like work, like of 5 songs that I ever put out. My dad helped me with that one, and we went to some studios in Dallas. It was like my first kind of like real studio experience. So it was really cool.
Okay. Now, did you grow up in Dallas?
Yeah, well, I grew up in the middle of Dallas and Fort Worth. So I'm like a DFW kid, but my mom's from Fort Worth, my dad's from Dallas. So I got like both.
Nice. And that's where we met, by the way, you guys. If you watched my vlog, on Dallas, you'll see the clip where she's performing, and then I come and have a little fangirl moment. I'll have to cut to that so they can see it. Yeah. But okay, so Dallas,
we were randomly just out and we went to the Freeman and it was open mic night and they were like, go up there. I was like, okay. And so
wait a minute, that wasn't like a scheduled thing?
No, I just went up there.
That is so cool. So had you ever performed? Have you ever performed at that venue before?
I don't think so. A lot of my band members play there, but I don't think I've actually ever played there. So
okay, so this is adding so much context that it makes it even cooler. So you didn't know the band members that were playing?
No, I knew a bass player and the guitar player, and like I'd seen random people, so I was like, all right, let's just do this song, and then we went up and they kind of freestyle.
So badass. I am such a groupie when it comes to music, like good music and energy. I love film and I love music, and it's like when you could just kind of get lost in the moment. That's part of why I love worship as well, because it's a vibrational thing. Like I don't get in there and it's like, all right, let's sing these songs. Like I really allow myself to fully just immerse in that moment and just experience it. And so that night, I mean, although the alcohol was nice, it was a whole vibe. Like I could have been totally sober and I just felt it. And it was like, this is what's so crazy about music. And I'm not trying to be corny. This is a really corny metaphor, but it's like everybody's in harmony. I feel like when you're on that same page, it's like being on that same note and you guys vibe. It literally felt like you guys had rehearsed, not like it was a, performance or, you know what I mean? But it was like, you would never know that it was for the moment is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like that's kind of how it is with life. You find people who are kind of vibrating on that same energy and you just connect. And it's just really, really cool. So I love that. Okay, so I got to ask you a non-PC question. That venue was like, pretty much majority Black. As a white chick, did you feel any kind of intimidation? Because look, my people can be intense. Like we don't hold back on what we think. I was
like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes I am intimidated because I do get intimidated by greatness. And there's a bunch of greatness in that room. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm about to go on stage with I was in the bathroom when they called me too. So I was like, oh, I heard it and I was like, oh no. Like, I'm just in the bathroom.
Awkward. And the bathroom is like, right, you have to, okay, so so if you're in the audience, you're facing the stage, the bathroom is right here. So you come out of the bathroom, it's like walk in front of everybody. Hey guys.
Just got out of the bathroom, gonna sing. No, I think I just get intimidated by greatness, and there's a lot of greatness on stage, and pretty much everybody there was great, and the energy was great, and so I don't know. I really love that place, and
I love that. I really do, because I feel that it's kind of the reverse in a lot of corporate settings or professional settings or educational settings. A lot of Black folks say we could be good, but we have to be better than everyone to stick out. And I kind of feel like that's the reverse when it comes to certain places where it's a majority. Anything that's a majority. If you stick out and you're not one of the majority, you're gonna just get attention just because you're different. But then it's almost like the standard is raised, because it's like, all right, why do you deserve to be here? And it's not like it's right. And that's why I said this is not politically correct, but I just try to be honest. It is what it is. Like, we do notice something that's different, whether it's good or bad. So for me, it was like, I'm like, who is this little blonde chick, coming out her little bikini outfit, and then built it. And it's like, when you're amazing, nobody thinks about anything else. You're just like, I'm enjoying this music. So I love that. I always say I have an excuse to, go with both sides because I'm half and half, but I feel like I understand both cultures a ton. And so it's just interesting navigating in between. All right.
That's why I love music though, because I feel like music just brings everybody together, and it's like everybody understands it and nobody cares. You know what I mean? It's just like we're listening. We're not really seeing. We're hearing and we're feeling. That's what I like about it, because it's like, I don't know, you can be the prettiest, you can be whatever, you can look good, but you can sound like shit, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I just think it's deeper than that. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think it's the same way with energy. I think it transcends. That's why you can have someone that maybe isn't your cup of tea at first, you know, physically, but then you just have such a vibe with them that it transcends everything else. So, okay, that was a random detour that I just took. I told you, like, I don't even know what's coming.
No, I mean, one time I did play like a rap show and I was the only band and like only girl, I think, performing. So that one, I think when I'm the only girl, that's kind of scary. It's just like literally all rappers and then there's just me. Like, I'm like, hey, like, what's up? But I got an encore, so it was sick.
Right. I love that. Well, I feel like it's kind of easy to thrive in your own little bubble, in your own little pond. So I applaud you for stepping out and getting out of your comfort zone. Like for me, my experience, I was living, my dad's job transferred us to the Midwest because I'm from Cali, but transferred us to the Midwest when I was really, really young. So for a big period of time, I lived in this like completely Caucasian community. I was the only Black girl, me and my sister, K through 12, we stuck out. So I had to, at a very early age, be okay with being different. And so it's funny because I had a friend who we were like college age and she freaked out because she was a blonde girl and I invited her to a BSU event, Black Student Union event, at like the most like middle class college ever. This is not the hood. This is not like, you know, some story where it's like you come in like, oh God, clutching your purse. This is like an affluent, nice community. And she was terrified, but she said, I've never been the only one. And I'm like, honey, welcome to my world. Like this is my jam right here. But anyway, no, this is awesome. So my question for you is with your circle, some people don't have a lot of support. Some people have to kind of, you know, block out all the haters and push forward. What was your situation? Did you feel like you were supported and encouraged? And were people telling you like, wow, you have a gift, you should pursue it? Or were people like, simmer down, little girl, just focus on school and pick a steady career?
So I would say from the people that like mattered in my life that I was supported.
That part.
Yeah, because there's always like I had people like tweet stuff about me in high school, like make fun of me. Like I literally this one girl, I was like, "Why do you hate me?" And she goes, "You make yourself easy to hate." And I was like, "Oh."
What does that even mean?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Because I was very like I would post covers all the time on Twitter and I was like always chasing like the music thing. I was always like posting a lot of stuff and it's like you kind of have to do that, but like when you're young, it seems annoying. And so like I always just felt annoying, but I was like, I'm still doing it anyways. It makes me happy.
Okay, so I don't use Twitter a lot. I have an account, but don't you only see posts of people that you follow?
Yeah. I mean, unless somebody retweets it. No, me and that girl are cool now. It was just like it's something that's always kind of stuck with me.
I'm just teasing. But it's like that though. This is what I don't understand. I'm like, even if she felt like you were annoying, even if she felt like it was a bit much, and trust me, I have felt that same way because I'm pushing apparel right now. And my friend was like, dude, you do not pushing enough. And I was like, but I don't want to be annoying. I don't want every time people open up, they see it. But he said, algorithms, not everybody sees every post. You have to. And every time I pushed it a little more, I get sales. So I get that. But my thing is this, I've never understood someone being bothered by you living your life, not specifically you, Avery, but just a person. Like, I don't have to see it. It's one thing if I'm living somewhere and my neighbor keeps putting stuff on our mutual porch, or, you know, you're parking your car and it's getting into my parking spot. Like what life. Yeah, it's like, what does your life and what you're doing have to do with me? And I think what it is, to be perfectly honest, is, and I'm glad that you guys are good now, but I think subconsciously, when someone lives their life out loud, which is what I like to call it, it triggers people who aren't, because it's kind of like seeing that couple that's so in love and you're like, God, get a room, because you want that. When you're in a happy place, you're like, yes, like I know what that's like, right? But when you're single, you're just like, yeah, whatever, choke on something, like, you know.
Like literally, that's how I used to be when I was single, and now I'm like literally in love with love of my life, and it's
you're
like
so in love.
We're just gross, and it's like I love it so much.
I feel like you're appropriately gross. Like I mean, I look at your pictures and I'm like, aw.
Thank you. Yeah, but I mean, I would get a lot of love on stuff in high school, and like there was people that thought it was really cool, but then I mean, there's always people that don't like it. And so I was supported where it mattered, and like my family always supported me. Like I couldn't do what I do without my family. So
that is so awesome.
They're the reasons I'm still here. So
and I can tell, just a special moment to shout out your dad, because I know he recently had a birthday. But You said what?
Roger.
Yes, Roger. We have to post a little picture here if you.
Yes,
Yes, right there. I'll put it right there. Oh my God. But I could tell that you just like you talk about your love, you love your daddy. And you could tell with your posts and things like that. So that's awesome when you do hear that story.
My mom actually got out of the hospital last week, so that was kind of a rough week.
Oh, dang. She okay now?
Yeah, she's good now. But
okay.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough on the mental a little bit,
yes.
But they're all my team, so we're all a big team, big family. So
this is something that I think would be interesting to talk about. So a lot of times, you hear people who are like, I had the struggle, my dad abandoned me, or my mom was abusive, or whatever. And you came from what sounds like, a pretty healthy home, a positive situation. What do you think led to your anxiety? What do you think was plaguing 7-year-old you? And by the way, I meant to ask you, how old are you now, if you don't mind me?
23.
How much?
23.
Okay, sorry, the sound cut out. So what do you think caused 7-year-old Avery to be plagued to the point of anxiety?
I think first off, it's genetics. So we have like a lot of mental illness that runs in the family: addiction, anxiety, depression, all the good stuff.
Got the whole package. Okay.
Yeah, the whole shebang now. But also I think it was because I'm a very creative brain, and I think like creative people can be tormented for no reason because they like you're thinking outside the box, and sometimes you can't handle that. You know what I mean? So, but it gives me the ability.
I love that you said that.
Yeah, it gives me the ability to think differently than other people, and also share my story in a way that other people can relate to as well,
Yeah, I absolutely love that you said that. I actually meant to talk to my last guest about it. When it posts, it's probably going to be last week, but my last video that I will have aired, it's so weird when you're doing it ahead of time, but I was having a conversation with comedian Doughboy, and he was talking about his battle with bipolar disorder. Yeah. He was diagnosed a year ago. And one of the things that for me, I'm not an expert in this field, but we do have that in my family. Certain diagnoses that have happened. Can you hear the jackhammering, by the way?
Yeah.
This is me surrendering. I was praying they wouldn't start while we were talking, but we can push it. Can you at least hear me though?
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Anyway, I'm gonna take a hit off of my peace pipe here. But we were talking about bipolar disorder and how he has chosen to try to deal with it without medication, which we were both making the huge statement, like we're not saying people should get rid of medication because some people really, really need it. However, I do think that there are natural ways that we can overcome things. And I do feel that with people who are creative and talented, in a different way than kind of like the norm, because I think there's more of a creativity sometimes. Yeah, it can be taxing. It can be taxing, and especially if you can't relate to a lot of people. That's why I think it's really cool when you find your tribe, because you're like, sometimes you don't have to say, you're just like, I get it. Like you're here. But I think that because a lot of times creatives don't fit in, we can also feel like something is wrong with us, for example. I know that I was teased a lot for talking a lot. Like, wow, you're so energetic and you talk a lot. But guess what? My purpose literally requires me to talk a lot. I talk by myself to a freaking camera on a tripod. Exactly. So if I wasn't a talkative person, my YouTube channel would be like. So I think sometimes it's just, being able to accept your differences and rock with it. No pun intended, Miss Rockstar.
Yeah. No, I agree on that 100%. I think if you're born with something, like, I'm not like tooting my horn, I'm just talking about creatives as like a whole. Like if you're born with something like extraordinary, like it comes with a price, if that makes sense. So
yeah. I'm gonna mute my microphone. Lord, I asked them yesterday how long they were going to be doing this, and I'm thinking they're going to say to like 3 or 4. They're like, for 3 days, and I was like, okay. All right, guys, we're going to push through. I'm telling you, this is a great opportunity, and this is why I like stuff that's not totally produced, because this is real life. Real life, you're going going to have obstacles that come your way, like being in the bathroom when your name is called. And it's all about how you deal with it in that moment and recover and keep going. It's not about having the silver spoon in your mouth and everything just flowing. And that's why I'm great, because everything just goes my way. No, it's about how do you push through in that moment. So, all right, so you
anxiety is kind of like that jackhammer though. Like it's always like you're always hearing it. You know what I mean?
So it's weird keep pushing through it.
Yeah, like we're talking about it while it's like physically like showing up.
It's actually giving me anxiety while I'm doing this. But honestly, mental discipline, I mean, I'm laughing, but you're totally right. Mental discipline to me is first acknowledging it. Like we acknowledge it. We're not going to sit there and be like, la, 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 this isn't happening. Like I'm acknowledging the fact this is driving me insane, but I'm consciously making the decision to say, what am I going to do? Okay, this is my lot right now, currently. What am I going to do? What are my options? And when you focus on what your options are and you take your power, that's when I think everything works itself out. Joe said something yesterday when we were filming, and he said, and I love this, he said, anxiety is when you're stressing about what hasn't happened yet. And depression comes from over analyzing and feeling guilty about what's already happened. And I was like, wow, the only alternative, right? It was like dead on. I was like, say that again, brother. I feel like the only way to be is just be present in that moment. So it's like right now I'm focusing on the fact that I really want this interview to happen. This is the best time for it to happen. And if it's meant to happen, they're going to be able to hear the audio despite Team Jackhammer outside my door. And I focus on the fact that I'm glad that I'm not my downstairs neighbor who's actually had to be kicked out of their home and their floor is being drilled into. There was some like problems. So we can always focus on the positive too. So that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So getting back to 7-year-old Avery, you went to therapy. How long did that last? Or is that something that you're still doing ongoing?
Oh yeah, I'm still like, I randomly have gone throughout my life. Like I went in high school, I went after high school, I've continued to keep going. So it's just like random periods where I'm kind of down and I'm like, all right, I need somebody to talk to, or you know, stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you say to the person that doesn't know anything about therapy and, you know, maybe has pre-existing thoughts about what it's going to be like, or, you know, you've got the person sitting back like, What would you say therapy is like for you? The whole experience.
Okay, so I would say you have to kind of be picky with who you like choose as your therapist. Like I feel like you should try out a couple people because sometimes people won't fit your personality. Like for me, I can't have somebody who's overly nice and who just, you know what I mean? I need somebody who's like, all right, like you need to, like, all right, get your stuff together. Like you need to
and so talk back. That's what I say. Talk back.
I'm like, I need that push. I don't need someone's like, it's gonna be okay. Like I need that push. And there's times in my life when I did need somebody to be like, it's gonna be okay, because I was more fragile. Right. But I would say really focus on finding somebody who fits you. And I would also say that it actually really does help. And it can be scary at first, and you might not want to do it because talking about things that like opening wounds is not fun, but that's the only way you can heal from it. So.
No, I like that. I've had a couple different people and I've had the similar experience. Like I can't have a passive person. And I'm so funny because I cannot stand open-ended questions. Like, because sometimes I say I'm not really that deep when they'll be like, well, what does that mean? And I want to say, bro, if I knew what it meant, I wouldn't be coming to you.
I don't know. Like
I don't know. I just see clouds when I look at that. I do. My style is more, I need someone who's like, well, do you think that there's a conflict between that? Or what makes you think that? Or I need someone that is more aggressive, almost like a big sister or like that fiery aunt that's like, look, chick. Yeah, I need that. And you need someone sometimes too that doesn't know you. Like you said, doesn't try to cater to you and isn't just gonna tell you what you want to hear.
The outside source and they don't know anything else. So it's like you can kind of be more open, I feel like.
And I think sometimes people mean well when they're in your circle, but sometimes they're only dealing with their limiting beliefs. And getting back to what you were saying about being in high school, and I always thought this was weird, by the way. If you're in band in high school, typically people saw you as a band geek. And if you're in theater, you're considered like a theater, you know, dork or whatever, at least in my high school experience. But for some reason, when you leave high school, actors are seen as like these super cool people. And then people in bands are considered like super, super dope. So I don't know what it is about high school. High school is just, I guess, lame when it comes to students, because if you dare express yourself, it's like this herd of sheep. Everybody wants everyone to do the same thing. And even in cliques, people tend to dress the same and use the same phrases. And it's like, we like everyone being like us. But if you're that random purple sheep and everyone else is like gray, it's like, hell.
That was one thing about my high school that was cool, is like it was one of the most diverse high schools in Texas. So like we didn't really have like the it girl or it guy, because there were so many different groups of people, and like this group didn't care what this group was doing. This group like, and then there was people that were just friends with everybody. So it's kind of like, and it was racially diverse. It was in every way possible. It was diverse. So I thought that was really cool, like being able to grow up and just see so many different people. And like I feel like in high school I kind of found where I fit, but also like not exactly. I feel like I'm always kind of like not exactly fitting. You know what I mean? Like I can fit with a bunch of different groups, but like I don't. Sometimes it's like I want that one solid group of people that are just like me, but I feel like that's kind of hard to find. You know what I mean?
So how would you define it? Maybe you can't. Do you mean like musically, or kind of the way you think about life and philosophy? Like what, or look? Is it, what do you think?
I think it's depth.
I'm sorry, say it again. Depth. There's a little noise in the background. What'd you say?
I think it's like finding like depth, like people who have depth. You know what I mean? Because I feel like being 23, like a bunch of people just go out and party all the time, and it's like I don't fit in with that. First off, I don't drink at all, because I had a problem with that. That's a whole other story, but I don't drink at all. So like going to clubs is like not really fun. That's why I like going to the Free Man or places like that, because it's like live music, and that's like really where I love being. So I would say I'm definitely different from like the typical 20-year-olds, like but I think as I've gotten older, like I've found a lot of people who think like me, and like it's just taken that time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I would totally agree. I feel that the internet has helped me so much. And a lot of people really, for whatever reason, are very triggered by online relationships. And I don't even mean romantically, but like they're very triggered by the fact that you met somebody online. But some of my coolest offline friends are people that I have met. It's like my tribe, but the internet has brought us together. So like, you know what I mean? So if it weren't for the internet, I wouldn't have been in Dallas. If it weren't for being in Dallas, I wouldn't have met you. And so I don't give a crap how I meet someone on an airplane. I'm not really, married to how I meet the person. It's just if they're a cool person. So I think the internet is really cool because it'll attract your tribe to you. And I would also say this, being 41 years old, I've learned that it's rare to find someone that you really, really connect with, because it's kind of like having a romantic partner. You might date all these people, but it takes a while to really find that special person. And I think that nowadays, I say the same thing all the time. It's hard for me to have conversations with people that do feel deep, because a lot of stuff is very, very surface. Most people talk about the little shallow cliche things. And I like to really be introspective. I like to try to think about how can I improve, what's happening mentally, and, the bigger picture. And so I would just say, keep doing what you're doing, and your tribe is definitely going to be drawn to you. And I think also you don't really fit in a box. You're not, you don't neatly fit in one category.
That's like, I feel like my like tribe that I have, we're just all like, we're a motley crew. Like we're all just so different, but like we all work, you know what I mean? And that's the way that I like it. Like, no, like I'm a weirdo. So it's like, I love hanging out with like my friends who are just as weird as me. You know what I mean? Like people that remind you,
the
like,
ones that get
you're not crazy. Yeah. Like you're not crazy for thinking that. You're not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely
my daughter and I have this.
Oh wait, what happened?
Sorry, I don't know why, but whenever we talk, it's like the audio will go out from one or the other. I think it's a Zoom thing. But my daughter and I have this thing where we embrace the term weirdo. Like it's not a negative thing in our house. Yeah. And so if anything, if you're not weird enough, it's a problem. And so when we meet people, she's like, are they properly weird? Yes, because we do crazy stuff, but because we both do it, it just feels normal. And my thing is this, I have been judged plenty. I haven't been judged a ton, I will say, but I have been aware that I'm not the same as everyone. And in the past, I've allowed that to make me feel less than. I felt like, oh, I wasn't as quiet, like I have a really loud laugh. I don't laugh like, I'm like, I laugh from my gut. I'm really intense. And it's taken me being comfortable with myself to not worry about not fitting in. But when you find someone that's your weirdness equal, it's like,
No, that's literally like how with me and my girlfriend, like we just say the most crazy shit to each other, and we're just like, can I cuss on here? I don't know. You can bleep it out.
Try to keep it to a minimum because YouTube will they won't let you monetize at certain, but it's certain words. So I'm not really sure. You can say crap and darn.
Yeah, if you need to bleep anything, just let me know. But like I feel like we understand each other on like such a weird level. Like
yeah.
Wouldn't want it any other way because like we would both be bored if we weren't weird,
I love that. And she's totally supportive, I'm assuming, of your music and your career.
Oh yeah, she's literally like always front row, like cheering me on, going crazy. Like her neck is sore after every single show from like headbanging. It's so funny. She's amazing.
I love it. That's so awesome.
My mom, my dad, like her, my sister, my mom, my dad, who I'm with all the time because we all live at home right now to save money and all of that.
That is the way to go. I swear that is the way to go. I have this whole theory, and I said, if a bunch of people who wanted to save money were willing to just get a place and legit install bunk beds and look at it almost like prison. Prison is not about luxury. Like you don't have couches, you don't have whatever. You have the bare minimum. And if you had communal dinners, like make a big old pot of spaghetti or whatever, can you imagine in 1 year what you could save if you were all like, right? You're starving artists. And so you're not hanging out in the house. That is your place to sleep, eat, shower, whatever. But you're just spending that year grinding because so much money goes to rent or mortgage. It's insane.
Doing music, so much money goes to every single thing.
Girl, if you could see what I have around the equipment that I've just investing in myself, I've got my fancy microphone. I've got my lights that you can't see. I have all my cameras, my equipment. I got so many
expensive.
It's so expensive. People have no idea. When you really believe in yourself, you also have to invest in yourself. So it's a huge, huge commitment. What else did I want to ask you? Oh, okay. So this is a question that I'm going to start asking moving forward, but we all have heard that phrase, your drug of choice. But what is your fear of choice? What is your anxiety? And what I mean by that is there is a little voice that we all hear. It's that voice in our head. And before people start thinking like, no, I don't hear voices, I'm not crazy. No, we all hear that. Because when we have doubt, we hear things like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. And you respond back to it. So it's not you. That voice is not you. It is something separate from you that's creeping in your mind. And so you can take a second to think about it if you need to, but what is that kind of broken record that you hear, which I like to say in my head, I'm like, F off. Like I literally will tell that thing, I'm like, go somewhere. I have I call her her, but I'm like, she needs to go somewhere. And I talk back to it as though it's a person right in front of me because I know that thing is crippling and it will keep me from doing what I need to do. So what would you say is yours? And you might not have a reoccurring one, but what is something that you tend to hear that you have to psych yourself out of believing? Because if you believe it, it's going to cripple you.
I think, well, a lot of my anxiety, I have a lot of like body anxiety, like hypochondria, stuff like that, like things that are out of my control. That's what I get afraid of. I think also that like I'm not good enough or I'm not worth anything, you know what I mean? Or I'm dispensable. Like I feel like I've kind of dealt with like the feeling of being dispensable for a long time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think a lot really goes into my body, and like whenever I get really anxious and stuff, I kind of get like lightheaded, and it's just like that physical panicky feeling. I get that a lot. So it's kind of like I'll be like driving and it's like, oh, like my body's like, you are gonna pass out, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna pass out. Why? But I'm driving. Like,
right.
Or before I go on stage, they're like, oh, you're gonna fall, you're gonna pass out, you're not gonna do good, and I'm like, why? Like I'm ready, I'm practiced. Like why am I so? You know what I mean? Are you
aware of it in that moment? Like, are you aware that I call it being attacked? Like you're aware in that moment?
Yeah. The feeling, I've known the feeling for a long time. So like I've been really working with not letting it get the best of me. if that makes sense, and just kind of like, I feel like meditation and yoga really helps me a lot, and working out, because I think I legit have a bunch of like adrenaline or like cortisol like
Yes.
too high, because I can like feel it in my body sometimes. Like my heart, like will literally before I do something will just go crazy, and I'm like, yeah.
That's totally me. And there's such a mind body correlation, which is why for me, I'm not anti medication, but I'm pro natural remedies because of the fact that, you know, I'm sure you've heard you can give yourself an ulcer or cancer by stressing. And that's literally just something that's in your head and something that's in your heart. And I've done so many studies, like I've gone down the rabbit hole on YouTube about the placebo effect. You know, somebody thinks that they're dealing with something, it can actually start to manifest, or if they think they're healed from something, it can actually go like physically go away. And so I think in those moments, our brain goes into overdrive to where our body says, I should panic, because, you know, biologically, our body is designed to have adrenaline so that we can escape a dangerous situation. So our brain, I think if we go unchecked with those negative thoughts, our body is like fight or flight. All right, let's fight, you know,
like always fight or flight. And it's that's when it gets to be too much, because it's like I literally have to be like, I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm not in danger. Like I have to tell myself that all the time.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that, because that's what I do. And I want people who are watching this. This is my biggest thing. One, know that it's not normal. Normal meaning not normal in the sense that you're a weirdo, no one's dealing with this. What I mean is it's not normal as in that's not what you were designed to be. So just like if you know what it feels like to be healthy, if all of a sudden your shoulder's hurting and you can't rotate it, you know that's not normal. So you're alerted, you go get help. If you know that it's not normal to have racing thoughts, you then can be on alert. And when something happens like that, you can deal with it. And so with us, because we've dealt with it for so long, we have a plan of action. We don't flip out every time because we're like, oh, this is what it is. This is what I need to do. And then you're talking to yourself saying, I'm safe, I'm this, I'm that. And that's literally what I'll do. I was telling Doe that for me, I have 3 spots where I feel it. I'll get a lump in my throat, or it's like I feel like I can barely swallow, or I'll get heart palpitations, which is what you talked about, and then or I'll get a knot in my stomach. And usually each emotion elicits a different thing. So like if I'm nervous, it's usually a knot in my stomach. If I'm kind of scared, it's like being scared, nervous, feeling guilty, or like on the spot. It's all these different things, but it manifests in different places. So I want to actually look at chakras and all that stuff, because I'm just super fascinated with the spiritual and the physical have to do with each other. That's like such a tangent, but yeah, I'm into that. But this video, the reason why I reached out to you, and I apologize those of you who are watching, I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, but in my mind, it all comes together. I want people watching this video to have actual tools that they can use to overcome, or at least make their life more enjoyable. Because even if you can't afford therapy, even if you don't have something that was maybe triggering you, I feel like so many people lack the ability to, one, quiet themselves enough, which is why meditation and yoga is good. They don't quiet themselves enough so that they're not even aware of what's happening. They just accept the fact that this is all happening. But if you don't know that it's happening, you can't address it. And I liken it to this, and sorry for being so long-winded right here. I liken it to somebody physically being in your house. And if that person's in your house and causing havoc, they're breaking stuff, they're making things dirty, and you don't even know they're there, you're just stressed out. But if you at least know the person's there, you can forcibly kick them out. They might come back, but you can at least kick them out. And so in those moments where you say, what did you say? I'm safe.
I'm safe, I'm okay, and I'm not in danger.
Yes, it's telling that unwanted visitor, no, I'm not going to accept your lies. And for me, you know, you mentioned the worship leader thing. So obviously I know you're aware of spirituality, but to me, I really think that those are, well, the Bible calls them principalities. I really do think it's like a spirit thing where we are being suggested certain things. And it's always about trying to rob us of joy. It's trying to, you know, steal our happiness. And so we have to actively talk back. And so I just want everybody who watches this to realize that you have way more power than you know, and you can give yourself that help at any given time. So I want to ask you at least one other thing before we go. What would you say, because you said you're what, 23 at this time that we're recording this? Okay. What would you want to tell 7-year-old Avery that you wish you had had much earlier in life?
Whoa. Wow. Okay. I think I would just tell her, like, obviously the cheesy, like, it's gonna be okay, like, you're gonna be fine. I don't know if she would have listened in that moment, but I would hope
Yeah.
that she would. And I would tell her that, like, she's loved and there's nothing wrong with her. You know what I mean? And that even though, like, you struggle with this so young, like, you will be okay, and you're gonna find a lot of people that struggle with the same thing, and you're gonna make music for those people. And so I'd be like, just look up, like, it makes me cry. Almost.
I
Like,
just got like the biggest goosebumps. You said you're gonna make music for those people.
no, it's like makes me cry.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, I didn't even think I was gonna cry at all. I feel very strongly about, like, mental health and just the people that feel rejected by anybody who feel different, who, like, I'm a gay Christian, like, that's really weird. Like, you know what I mean?
That's pretty hardcore. That's
It's
pretty
really
hardcore.
weird. It's really hard, and, like, I don't know. I just feel like people need to know that they're loved, that, like, you are beautiful and you will get through anything. And that's why I make music. So
I love that. I cry all the time, so I'm just glad it's not me for once. I cried yesterday,
I haven't cried
so
in like a minute. So this is like a lot.
I feel like we're being authentic, and I love this. This is actually going to be my favorite part of the video. I can already tell. But there's a verse that says, "We comfort in the way that we were comforted," and I
Yeah.
truly believe that everyone's purpose is tied to service. I believe that you feel your highest vibration when you are using your gifts to help other people. And in this weird, I don't know why it's designed this way, but I feel like we become the strongest in the area that we were broken. So if
Oh,
you broke your wrist at some point, there's that sore spot, or there's that scar from where you were damaged. Everybody has that breaking point. Mine came for me during my marriage, and I just totally just lost it. But in that breaking, that's when you usually connect to God. That's usually when I hear people those stories. You get the closest to God, or you get this enlightening, and then from there you're like, I want everyone behind me to not have to go through this. And so we turn back and try to give to everyone in our wake. I like to liken it to the wake, behind the boat. Everyone in your wake, that's your crew, and that's everybody that you're kind of not responsible for, but that's everyone that you're going to affect in your life. And it kind of transitions to the last question I wanted to ask you, which is, and I'm going to go backwards, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want to, when your time here is done, and someone down the road is watching this YouTube video, how do you want to be remembered? Man, Avery, she was that girl who
made me feel loved.
Oh my God, that's my thing too.
Literally, like, exactly. Like, I just want to, like, because there's so many different topics we could go into with mental health and why and all that, and just even the LGBTQ, like, everybody, like, I feel like the most majority, like, we all in LGBTQ, like, the community, we deal with mental health issues because we feel rejected. We are rejected a lot, especially by people who claim to be saying from God. And I'm like, that's not, no. If someone's coming at you with hate, that's not God, period. End of. Like, you know what I mean?
God is love. So if you were
Yeah.
channeling anything other than love, I'm just gonna sip my water.
Yeah, I'm actually releasing a song called "But Jesus Loves Me." It's about being gay, and so yeah, that's gonna be a heavy hitting one. But I just really want to be known for, like, pushing the boundaries of what's the word, like, certain expectations and things that you think you need to be or you need to do to be right in the eyes of God or whatever. It's just like, you just need to love people, and you are loved. You know what I mean? Like, that's all you have to do, and you are loved yourself. So all I really want to do is just, like, spread light. And I don't know, if, like, because I remember being young and going to concerts and, like, I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm like, oh my God, like, this changed my life forever. And, like, I've been on my knees before listening to music when I'm at the lowest point in my life.
Yes.
Like, 102 pounds, like, weigh nothing, have, like, literally not eating, like, on the floor, and, like, music is what makes me get up. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I just want to shine that light, and I just want to help people through it. So.
I love that. I saw something, this is like a weird, thing to reference, but I was watching the things, YouTube be suggesting like weird stuff and, or Netflix even. You're like, what? Why did you feel the need to show me that? But no, I was wanting to, I'm fascinated by like the spiritual realm because I feel that the more you understand, the more empowered you can be to, get the most out of life.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily go deep, dark into rabbit holes, but I was suggested this video about, it was kind of like life after death or something. And these people did a seance. I believe it's called a seance. But what was so fascinating to me as a believer is they were explaining how they had to go in this super dark room. There could be no light, which is ironic because it's like the opposite of what I'm trying to communicate with when I go into worship. But they had to all be connected and they had to chant the same thing. And the lady was explaining the vibrations. When you chant harder and louder, it's like, it's a better conduit, I believe, or something for whatever they're trying to bring in. But I immediately made the correlation with worship. And I was like, wow, it's so interesting because I think that so much that we're learning about science helps us to understand certain things that we're instructed to do biblically, and we're instructed to worship. And so there's definitely something vibrationally that happens with music. And that's what makes it transcend. I was like, vibration, cue jackhammer. I think that's what makes it transcend, whatever you're going through, because I too have been in concerts and I'm just bawling my eyes out, sweating my blowout out, just being in that moment.
It's the craziest thing. Like it's insane. I don't know. I think music can be very, like, it's very influential, good or bad. You know what I mean? It can be very so you want to fill your head with good stuff, but also I think that it's a way for you to connect with yourself and with spirit and with God, even if it's like secular music. If it's not like it's talking about something really good and like positive, I believe that's worship in itself. So
I'm so glad you said. I'm kind of low-key annoyed because you keep saying things that make me want to like branch off on this and branch off on that, and I'm like, man, I'm
saving 3 hours. I feel like
you said what?
Talk for like 3 to 5 hours.
Seriously. So what was I gonna say? You said something about music, good or bad. This is the other part that I really, 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 really need people to understand. You have somebody was referring to as like the little you. It's almost like the child version of you, right? And the same way you wouldn't take a child to like a horror film, or you wouldn't bring him to certain environments because they're too innocent or they're too impressionable rather to deal with it, right? I think that we need to be more protective of our own self. Even though we have grown to a certain age, we haven't lost that impressionableness. Is that even a word? I think. And I think a lot of people, they want to just be like, oh, it's not that serious, but it really is. If you're listening to music that's always talking doom and gloom and getting back at people and revenge, it seeps into your spirit. And if you're playing stuff that's positive and motivating and uplifting, like you said, it doesn't have to be full on worship music, but at least it's a uplifting song, or it could even be like, for real, I'm so happy. It's like that positive message, it influences our spirit. And so I just want people who maybe don't have a faith background or a Christian background to understand that whether you believe it or not, you have a spirit, man. And that spirit is totally affected by what we take in, what we spend our time thinking about, what we talk about, and all that. The last thing that I want to get to, and I know I said that was my last question, but because you brought something up that I cannot step over, okay? And I haven't talked too much about faith on my channel, but I made a video a while back and I said, I promise to stop being motivated by fear. And at the beginning, I didn't really like to talk a lot about faith because I was thinking from a business perspective. And I'm like, I want the maximum amount of people to like it. That's a polarizing topic, blah, 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 blah. But then I realized I'm not being authentic. I'm not being my true self because I'm not coming on here with an agenda. This is me. So if I were to not talk about my Blackness, that's not authentic. If I'm not talking about my femininity, it's not that's who I am. So part of who I am is my faith and what I believe in spirituality. That being said, you said something that was so crucial. And you were talking about the lack of love when it comes from believers. And for those of you who don't know the lingo, a believer is somebody who believes in Jesus Christ. Okay. So when I say that, that's what I mean.
Christian.
Yes, Christian. So this is what tripped me out. When I grew up, I was forced to read the Bible. Not saying it's a bad thing, but I was forced to. I didn't do it because I wanted to, like, oh, let's crack open the scripture, you know? I had to read the Bible. So I wasn't going in there with this open mind. And I truly believe there's something that happens spiritually when you do read the Bible willingly and having a heart of like, I want to get something out of this. So in my mid 30s, I had my emotional breakdown. I was ready to like tap out because I felt like I couldn't deal with life anymore. It was too hard. And I started to search the scripture, right? So I was like, I just want to read. And every time I'd sit down to read, I'm like, God, please speak to me. Cause I'm not going to take medication. I refuse to drink alcohol and I'm not going to get on drugs. So we need something like, cause this isn't working. And this is what blew me away. The more I read scripture, the more I just kept seeing love, 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 love. Everything was love. And I was like, whoa. Every person I've ever talked to that was depressed, had anxiety or whatever, every story is exactly the same. I did not feel accepted. And it's your circle or your situation, you don't feel accepted. And that's what makes you upset. And the beautiful redeeming thing is that when you do tap in with God, you finally feel accepted and you finally feel love. And I would say this, because we all know, you know, the Bible, and when it comes to LGBT and all that stuff, I will be the first person to say, I don't know what the answer is. When I say I get your struggle, I get your struggle. And I've even said this before. I'm glad that I don't have that struggle to worry about because I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers. And what happens if you have a heart for God, but what you believe in, you know, there's a conflict there. And so I applaud you for, you know, openly talking about it. But I will say this, to all the things that I don't know, the answer to love. Love. And it's not my place. I'm not put here on this earth to tell you what to do. I'm not put here on the earth to do anything else but to be a conduit of love. And the cool thing is the Holy Spirit, he's got his job covered. I don't need to be that person. And so for all those believers who feel like, oh my God, this person needs this and needs that, all they need is love. And if you're doing it from a place of not, I'm pretending and burying my head in the sand, but from a place of this is another human being who has the same feelings that I do, everything else is going to work itself out. I don't know the answers. And I know that God does not ever work through shame. He does not ever work through guilt. He does not ever work through pressure. And so I feel like whatever somebody's going through, this just happens to be the topic, but whatever the person is dealing with, if you're a parent, if you're a friend or whatever, cut out all the advice. That's my opinion. Cut out all the advice, cut out all the trying to make a person fit in a box and just love on them.
Literally. It's like, it's honestly nobody's business either. That's the thing. Is like
at all.
I have people that like will come to me out of love and like be like, oh, like it's not right. Like that's what I believe. I'm like, cool. I don't believe that. That's
what was
cool.
What was the purpose?
You're not gonna, I should just not be gay. Like, that's not right. Like, no, the thing is okay. It says in the Bible, if you love God, love others, you're fulfilling the law, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So the most religious people, like, even when they tried to get to heaven, they didn't help anybody. They didn't love people. God said, I don't know you. You can do every single thing right. You cannot drink, you cannot smoke, but you can be a total a-hole because of that. And you can be very, like, the people, all gays go to hell. If you like, you're pushing that, like, no, bro, I will see you there if that's true because you are doing the same thing. That's the thing. Is like, if that's
I'm sorry, she said I'll see you there.
You like, you can share a room if that's like what you're thinking, but I know where I'm going and that's not where I'm going because I know I'm right with God. And I could go into it forever. It's just like people kill.
I feel you.
People literally, like, heaven loses another person every single day because of Christians. And so that's the thing that I'm like really fed up with. I've been very hurt by the church not being gay. Like, before I even came out, I worked at a church. I was very hurt by a church. I think what needs to change are the churches because God's never changed. God has never changed. It's
girl, you're preaching right now.
It's the people that try to be self-righteous and try to push their agenda on you because of their belief. And it's like, bro, you don't even know the answer. Like, they're making a whole movie about how like homosexual was mistranslated in the Bible. It wasn't even the right word. So it's like, literally, how many people had to die for y'all to like and kill themselves for y'all to realize that like it's not right.
Wow. I will say this: the more I get closer to God, And the more I live, the more I realize how much I don't know. And so for me, I'm purposely not going to take a stand, you know, when it comes to that specifically. I have my own thoughts, what have you, but I agree 100%. It's nobody's business. And when you go through the scripture and you watch the examples and you look at Jesus Christ himself, how he did, he never, ever, ever condemned somebody. What he always did was he just spoke the truth, and he spoke the truth in love. And so for me, I feel like it's kind of like water. Any toxins that you have in your body, if you just consume and consume and consume water, all that stuff will get flushed out, right? So the way that I look at life is, if you just keep giving love, whatever, because whatever that truth is, God is the only one who knows. But whatever toxins are in anybody's life, they can only get purged out with love. And at the end of the day, I truly believe that what the Lord smiles upon is someone being a conduit of love. That's it. I don't have all the answers. I use profanity from time to time. You know, I'm not the best at what I do, but it's exactly what you said. I always say, I want to be like a person wearing perfume. And when I walk through a room, I want that fragrance that lingers behind me to be loved. And a lot of times someone will say to me, oh, well, do you believe in that? Or how do you feel about that? Because I haven't spoken out against something in particular. And I'm like, it's not even my business. Like, how is me speaking what I feel going to help? Because like you said, nobody is asking, hey, I need guidance in life. So can you please give me your opinion so I can then make my choice? That's between you and God. And I feel like if more Christians were to truly just get on their knees and pray about whatever's ailing them, whatever makes you feel so compelled to reach out and talk to someone that just looks like judgment, spend that same energy on your knees and pray and just say, thy will be done, thy will be done, thy will be done, because you're absolutely right. And I didn't intend to go there on this video, but I have a video, you can't see it, but I have a whole wall of my little things that I want to do YouTube videos on. That is one of the things I want to talk about, is the church. And I feel that it has become such a joke because of the fact that the spirit is not there, and because of the fact that people have stopped spiritually reading their Bible, and they've watered Christianity down to a list of do's and don'ts. And the Bible says that nobody can get to God by their own righteousness. It's through a surrendered heart and living out your life trying to please him, and it's that relationship with God. So man, we've covered like everything in this video, but I couldn't agree more as far as just the spirit, and I feel like it's all going to work out in the end.
I think the devil's very alive in the church for sure, especially nowadays. I think he's more alive in the church than a lot of other places.
Because I cannot agree with you more.
All the devil wants is division, right? So like he's gonna say like, oh, you should be put those thoughts in your head. You should be disgusted because that person's gay. You should tell them they're going to hell. You should tell them this, and it's like, oh, that kid goes and kills himself. Who really wins? The devil wins every time, because you think you're doing the Lord's work when you're really just doing the devil's work. So,
and they really do think that.
My thing is, there's 7 things that God hates, and being gay is not one of them. So why make that such a big deal, bro? Why does it matter who I like, who I think is hot, who I like marry, who I get? You're not gonna be there in my bed, in my house. Like, why does it matter to you? Like, no, that's private.
I have wondered why people get so angry about certain, and I'm going to use the Bible term, sins, right? Yeah. I've never understood why certain ones are put on a pedestal, because here's my thing. The Lord says, he who is without sin cast the first stone. And I sure know I have gossiped within the last, I don't know, at least week. I don't know when the last time I gossiped.
Last day.
Right. Like I've gossiped. I've, used profanity, even though profanity is not like technically in the Bible, but you know what I'm saying? Like I've done things that I know keep me from being perfect. So my thing is like, I look at my little bag of issues. I have more than enough in my bag to worry about. I don't need to worry about Avery's bag. I don't need to worry about Bob's bag. I don't need to worry about anything else. I have enough on my plate to worry about. And so I just feel like it's silly to pick one issue and harp on that one issue, but we're not going to talk about all these other things. We're not going to talk about premarital sex.
We're not going to talk about prideful people, because you can hide pride, but you can't hide being gay very well. You can't.
Oh,
And
you're so triggering me right now. Yes, like pregnancy, right? I looked at pregnancy.
We're gonna have to talk after this and just
No, for real. I was gonna say when you said that you can't hide being gay. I always thought about pregnancy. You can't hide pregnancy, and everyone's like, shame. Oh my God, you got pregnant. But how many people who are doing that have had premarital sex? So we can't see that you had premarital sex, but you can full on see that someone got pregnant. It's like it's so hypocritical. Whew. Okay, I'm be triggered right now. Oh my God, I have to.
The last thing I really think I want to say is just like, no matter who you are, your sexual preference, whatever sin you struggle with, which no matter how hard you try to not sin, you will still sin, because literally sin is missing the mark of God, which we will never hit that. So like, no matter how hard you try, you're still gonna sin. That sounds stupid, but I just want to tell everybody on here, like, you are loved, you are beautiful, and you are strong, and you will get through whatever you're going through. And if people have told you you're an abomination, you're not going to heaven because of so-and-so, whatever, that's not true. That's not true. And I don't know all the answers, but I know for a fact the God that I serve would not do that. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
I love that. You keep giving me the chills. I do. I like closing with that. And I'm going to piggyback on that. If you are watching, I always say, if you're watching this video, like there's a way that someone could not be watching. Like the only way they can hear it is if they're watching. I say that all the time. For you who is watching the video, understand that there is a creator of the universe who not only adores you, but intentionally designed you the way that you are. You have so much value. You have so much worth. And to somebody, you are everything. And so throughout life, you're going to start finding those people who think you're everything, and you're going to have your amazing tribe here on earth. But even if you haven't found your tribe yet, understand that you are awesome. And it is a lie from the pit of hell that you are not worthy. You are not good enough. You are unacceptable. You are not beautiful enough. You are you for a reason. You did not fall into this universe by accident and happenstance. God knows the number of hairs on your head. He knows how many pores you have on your body. You are awesome. And if you feel like you don't have what you need, you feel like there's some kind of a hole, there's a longing, seek and you will find. That's what the Bible says. And so seek. This isn't about religion at all. It's about you spiritually connecting and feeling this feeling of being full, like a good meal. That's what it feels like spiritually when you connect. And so if you want to just reach out, talk to God, you don't have to have a formal prayer. Just be like, I'm not feeling this. Like, I don't know what to do.
Like,
and start
God,
to ask.
Like, what's up? Like,
yes, you don't have to, our Father who art in, you don't have to be formal. Just however you talk, just ask, and he wants to give you everything that you need. So I always crack up when conversations just go so all over the place, but I love it because that's life. Life isn't linear. Life isn't like cookie cutter in this nice little box. And it's crazy. You were some chick in a bikini singing Superstition, I think it was. And I was just like, that's a badass right there. Yeah.
Dude, thank you. It was so good meeting you that night too. And I'm so glad we got to do this. This is awesome. And I hope that this video helps at least like one person. You know what I mean? Just one. I don't care. Just if somebody can like resonate with this, then I feel like we've done our job. So
yay. Please let us know in the comments what your favorite part was. And also I'm gonna have to get you all your links, ma'am, so I can put in the description and people can go find you. If you are not following Avery, follow her everywhere except in real life, because that would be creepy. All right.
Oh God.
Anyway, all right, guys, until next time, tell someone that you love them. Bye.